Oh, so she didn't get scrapped. Good day, everyone. Today, miHoYo's drip marketing has revealed 2.4's new characters, Yunjin and Shenhe. So I'd like to take a moment to give my thoughts upon what they could be with the little tiny bit of information we currently have. So Yunjin is a Geo polearm character, and Shenhe is a cryo polearm character. I guess miHoYo really is trying to make up for Zhengling being the only polearm character on release. But getting into Yunjin first, I do imagine that she is probably a 4-star character. She might be a 5-star character, but I rather doubt it. Now, while this tidbit of information we obtain about her doesn't really tell us anything about her kit specifically, there are some things in which we might be able to infer, or at least speculate. For one, she is the current director of an opera troupe, and she is a Geo character, which I do think means there's a good chance of her being a support. Other characters so far we've had that kind of involve singing and dancing, like say Barbara, are healers, so she may well be a Geo healer, or at the very least, a Geo support. And the way she could be a support and how she might operate could be hinted at within her character art, specifically the weapon in which she is using, the Dragon's Bane, which is a weapon that has low base attack, but a high secondary stat of elemental mastery. Now, the reason why this could be interesting is because, generally speaking, elemental mastery is not a stat you give to Geo characters, because all it does is increase the shield strength of crystallize shields. But seeing as Yunjin has this weapon in her artwork means I'd say one of two things. Either it's simply there because it's a Liyue looking weapon to match her as she is a Liyue character, or because it actually would be a good weapon for her to use and pertains to her kit. And as the only real thing that Elemental Mastery can do for Geo characters is to increase Crystallize shield strength, this might tell us that Crystallize reactions are specifically what her kit revolves around. This could also make sense considering Goro will be coming out in 2.3, and his ultimate specifically gathers Crystallize crystals generated in an area around him toward himself, and so they might be intended to be paired together, which could also potentially mean that she also scales with defense. However, if she's in a character that scales with attack, elemental mastery, and defense, I think you're probably stretching yourself too thin there, so not really sure about the defense, assuming the elemental mastery thing is indeed true. Now, this also introduces a bit of an issue, because generally speaking, 4-star characters that provide some sort of support role, usually using a non-offensive stat, don't really scale with that stat offensively, like say Barbara, or don't scale with that stat well offensively, like say Toma, or only really scale with that stat once you get them all the way to C6, like say Sayu. And so unless her damage scaling off of her elemental mastery were to be significant, if she really is pretty much just there for crystallized shields, you might be better off just using, say, Toma. But even so, definitely interested in seeing specifically what she does. Next, we come to Shenhe, who is a cryo polearm character, and I imagine is probably a 5-star. Now, unlike Yunjin, whose character art could possibly give us insight into her kit, Shenhe's really doesn't. However, at the same time, there are some things we could speculate about her and 2.4, specifically because she is a cryo character. If she were to be, say, a cryo DPS, I imagine that would make it pretty unlikely that Ganyu's first rerun would be in 2.4, as I believe many people have been waiting for Ganyu after knowing how good she is, and it would seem strange to put a completely competing banner in the same update. So if Shenhe is indeed a cryo DPS, I wouldn't expect to see Ganyu, in 2.4 at least. However, we have also seen characters like Sayula, who are a cryo physical DPS, and this is something else that Shenhe could be, while not conflicting with a Ganyu rerun in 2.4. Now, if she is a physical character, I think that probably puts her in a little bit of a weird spot, simply because Eula is a very well-rounded character. It's not simply that Eula herself does an incredible amount of damage, but her elemental skill having both physical and cryo resistance shred is extremely useful and can allow her to have a wider variety of team comps. For example, if you chose to, you could run Eula in, say, the national team, having Xinqiu, Zhengling, and Bennett, while still having Resistance Shred for her. And so, unless Shenhe is literally just a carbon copy of Eula, I do feel she might have a difficult time competing, as physical characters, generally speaking, get at least a decent amount of damage from the normal attack, so I doubt she's like the physical version of Ayaka, where she mostly does damage with her ultimate, so that you could then use her with, say, Razor, or even Eula herself, without losing much in terms of on-field damage for Razor or Eula. There's of course also the possibility that she is a support, and there's two different potentials for this. We already have two cryo healers, so clearly cryo healers are definitely a thing, but I kind of doubt that she's a healer. Nothing about her really bespeaks healing to me, with the only potential thing I'd say that could hint at being a support is that she hails from a line of exorcists, and the only other exorcist we currently have in the game, Chongyun, definitely has support abilities. But I think that's about it for my speculations. Let me know if you have any additional speculations, what you think these characters might do, what you think about their appearance. At least going off appearance alone, do you plan on pulling for them? I do have to say I find it a bit of a shame that Shenhe is not an Adepti, but instead a mortal, as I kind of would like more Adepti characters. And do let me know down below in the comments. And as usual, thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you again next time, and hope you all have a great day.